Okay, welcome to the Mortgage Business Real Estate Podcast, where we're going to share some tips, tricks, and insights into the local real estate market and the local business community, featuring rockstar real estate professionals as well as five-star local business leaders. So grab yourself a beverage of choice, pull up a seat, and settle in for this edition of the Mortgage Biscuit Real Estate Podcast. So, hey, I'm Dennis Papiernik with Compass Mortgage, and today we're joined by rockstar real estate agent Kimberly Zeehead. Did I say that right?
Close.
Zeehead?
Zahan.
Sorry
Like
about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
So you're with Keller Williams. You're part of the Team Wolf. You're a partner in that group with owning the Keller Williams North Shore West. You're a top 1% Keller Williams agent.
We are.
You are
Very grateful.
You serve the western suburbs, over 250 families a year. Is that right?
Yeah, a combination between my sister, Lisa Wolf, who's amazing. I adore her. She got me into this business. But yeah, approximately 250 families per year that we have an opportunity to serve. Yeah,
Right.
between the western suburbs all the way to the Wisconsin border. But my area of expertise is the Naperville / surrounding suburb market.
Great. It's my kind of my stopping grounds as well.
Yep.
And plus, you are business partners with your sister in two market centers.
Yep.
One in Arlington Heights and one in Libertyville.
One in Libertyville. Yep. It's
Right.
an amazing opportunity to be able to coach, train, and develop agents and provide them with a life of abundance. We've had such great success, so we're sharing that.
Great.
Yeah.
That's Keller Williams is all about sharing, isn't it?
We are all about sharing, yes.
And you have 3 satellite offices as well.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We have one in Grace Lake, but we also have a office in Twin Lakes over the border.
Okay.
Right, so very lovely. And then I just have my private office here in Naperville.
Right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just down the street from our.
It is, yeah.
Right. So.
Yep.
Well, that's fantastic. So, so you got a little bit of stats on you. So now, what got you into real estate?
Oh my gosh, my sister, which she's amazing, and I was working for a large corporation, living the dream, and she called me and she said, "Kimmy, come do this," and I said, "No, I'm not leaving my job." But then after some time, it turned out that it was probably the best decision I ever made.
Yeah. No
It was
looking back.
fabulous. No looking back. It's been a great run and a great future ahead of us. Like it is absolutely incredible.
So, how long have you been an agent now?
Just a little over 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, not a long time
Great.
actually.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, you've done so well in the market here. So, with
Thank you.
the market centers and with your sister, you guys are a great team.
Yep.
Yeah, I love working with you guys up
Thank
there
you.
at
Thank
Keller Williams
you.
Thrive. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
so any other stats you want to share with you on the back of your baseball card about real estate?
Well, thank you for asking, first of all, and thanks for having me today.
Oh, you bet.
I love being here. I love being able to share information. And I think probably, with our business, it's really just important that we have some uniquenesses. And as you say at the back of the business card, is that we just are extremely experienced. We love for our relationships to have a lot of confidence in the value that we're bringing. And that tells a story in itself, right? Because we're able to really execute at a high level and serve at a high level. We also bring unparalleled marketing. It's amazing what we're able to do for our clients. And one of our niches is that we transform homes and stage them to get our sellers the most money, and we're known for it, right? People walk in and they know they're walking into a Wolf Partners Group listing, and it's pretty fabulous.
Yeah, it does make a difference.
It's a huge difference, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So, so you talked a little about listing a house and some of the things that you do with that. So, what are some of the market differentials that you do on the listing? You talked a little bit about staging. I mean, there's a lot of real estate agents that people could select in the market, and I think people always gravitate towards quality, which you have a very high quality work ethic and presentation of what you do for your clients. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, thanks for asking. I think that there's an incredible pool of people out there with a lot of experience and a lot of things that they offer. And our uniquenesses that really differentiate ourselves is the fact that when you say the word staging, right, most people think someone's coming in to help you declutter or to help you move around some furniture, or maybe they bring in a couple of things to put on a bookshelf. We how to begin to explain it. But maybe a story. A person that hires us to help them get the most money for their home. We come in, we help them with all the trades to get whatever work needs to be done in the home, whether that's painting or floors that have to be redone, or they might need nothing.
Yeah.
And then we come in and we transform with furniture, artwork, pillows, throws. It's a complete transformation. It's kind of like HGTV.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it for years. And the story behind it is when a client of ours has this experience, they don't, when they're sitting at the table with us, Dennis, and we're in that listing presentation and we're talking about it and we're showing them pictures of examples of before and after, until they actually see their own home transformed. We come in, we got our staff, our team, who are amazing, and they just, boom. And they walk back in there and they're like, wow.
Right, right.
And it's transformational.
Right, right.
And it's powerful.
Yeah.
And if they feel that way about their own home, imagine how the consumer feels walking in the door, right? That prospective
right.
Home buyer that wants to call it their home. So it's pretty awesome. So it's a huge differential for us. There's very few people that do it, and so it makes a difference.
You know, one of my wife's favorite TV shows on HGTV, I call it the Forbidden Channel, is Love It or List It.
I love that.
Love It or List It.
Yeah.
You know, have you transformed a house and they go, you know what, we don't want to sell now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had that happen.
Come close,
very,
huh?
very, very rare. But that is a comment that we hear quite often.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important. So, you know, when you fix up the house, you know, if people are living in that house, and I imagine at times they become blind to some of the issues that they don't see. You come in with the fresh eyes and start pointing those things out, which, you know, as a buyer would, when they're going to start noticing those things, especially on a home inspection as well, they're going to start noticing some of those things.
Yeah, so there's the meat of the home, right? The guts of the home, the mechanicals, the roof, the landscaping, all the things that need to just be refreshened, right? Make sure that they're up to par, whether it's a maintenance that needs to get done. And then there's the cosmetic pieces. So a home sells for 3 reasons: price, condition, and location. The one thing that we have control over is the condition to elevate that price.
Right.
Right. So taking that model and using it effectively for our clients to get them the most money is powerful. And it adds a ton of value. And I quite often share with them that they're moving anyways.
Yeah.
They're leaving. Pack your stuff, put it in a box, cherish the things you want to cherish, and let us bring our stuff in, the things that are compelling, the things that, like, I walked into your office. It's gorgeous, right? It's trending.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, right? We want to do the same thing, but we also want to keep the integrity of their home.
Right.
Because it's their home.
Right, right.
And so it's done in a way that is just so respectful and humble, and, you know, we incorporate their things with our things, but we know what people are looking for. And we understand that. And I think that that's the important thing. We're not ripping through their whole home and tearing it apart, right? This is their home. And soon it'll be someone else's home. And I think keeping the focus on that word. But if you ask a home seller what the number one thing that they want to get out of their home, 99% of the time is the most money.
Right.
So the model aligns with that, right? If we could help you do that, then what does that look like? And what are you willing to allow us to do? And it's their decision, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, they have to spend a few pennies to get dollars, you know, and fix up that house.
Yeah.
You know, a little touch up here and there.
Yep.
And plus
sometimes
all the
they don't. Sometimes it's just the staging, which is complimentary.
Right, right.
Which is great.
It's huge.
It's huge, right?
Yeah, they don't understand.
Yeah.
How big that could be.
Yeah.
If you watch the Forbidden channels, you might understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a Chip and Joanna fan, so I still.
Oh yeah,
sorry,
yeah. My wife, you know, watches all those, so
yeah.
So it gets me in a lot things on the weekend. You know, so.
I love the name.
What's what?
The Forbidden Channel.
Oh, the Forbidden. Yeah.
I think I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
I'm stealing.
That's yours. You got to give me credit
you.
3 times, then it's yours.
3 times, you got it.
Yeah. So
you got it.
So that's great on the listing side. You know, you talk about price, you talk about the staging, the condition of the house, things that do it. So. And how I'm sure you walk them through the whole process, how that's all going to work. You know, they can lead on you and your team to make sure all that happens and experience. You know, in the mortgage side of things, I always tell people, hey, you know what? People only buy and sell a house 3 or 4 times in their lifetime.
Sure.
But I do it every single day. You do it every single day. And there's
Yep.
nothing that we haven't probably seen or haven't come across that we cannot find a solution for to make things happen.
Yeah, well, problem solving,
Right.
right, is what we do. We build relationships and we problem solve. And it's not just ABC, right? Every family is different. Every situation is different. And I'm sure that's exactly what you experience in the
Right.
mortgage industry. You don't walk in and it's, okay, you make X amount of money and your credit is this, and it's never the same. There's always a nuance that we have to make sure we're advocating for our clients to get them to a different level, to have the best opportunities in front of them. And, you have to be a good listener.
Right.
Right, you have to understand what's happening in their world, why it's important, their time frame, where they want to go, combining the sale with the buy, whatever it may be. There's always a problem to solve,
Right.
and that's actually brings me joy, right? Because that's what we love to do,
Right. Right.
and I'm
You know,
sure you're probably similar, right?
solve those problems for people, help them get
Yep.
what they want. And sometimes what's interesting is you have to peel back those layers to figure out what are they really after.
Yeah,
What is the goal here? What is the sometimes something comes up in the transaction and people it's very emotional at times, and you say, okay, what are we trying to accomplish here? The goal is it to buy the house? The goal is to sell the house. These are little problems. Let's help you through those and help navigate those issues.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I had a buyer buying a house and a beautiful home in Bolingbrook. They got a nice, they're first-time home buyers, and the deck was up about 4 feet, and below the deck was all these big stones, but the railings didn't connect. There was and the railing didn't connect. And what happened is I called the agent up and said, hey, this is a problem. This is a safety issue. Some little kid could run off that deck and into those boulders, and
Right.
we got problems here. So he said, well, they didn't put the railing up because of the view out of their house. They didn't want to look through the railing, And I'm saying, well, doesn't matter.
Little plexiglass.
Yeah, you got to figure that out. So we figured it out. We got it done before closing, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But
Yeah.
but the buyers were all upset. They were saying, oh, we're going to lose the house because of this. Because
Well,
this.
and that's the problem solving, right?
Right.
Because every house is going to have something like that come up, and instead of walking away, it's like, how do we fix this? What do you want?
Right.
Is this worth the remedy that we could put in place for it?
Right.
And I don't care what transaction it is, if it was 10 years ago, if it's today, it doesn't really matter. There's going to be a problem.
Right.
And it's all how you handle it. And I think that comes into communication, right? When we're at a level of excellence and professionalism that we're able to communicate and really expose the consumer to the correct expectations.
Yeah.
You're a seller, you've lived in that house 30 years. I would love to say it's perfect and you're not going to find anything wrong with it when they come in through that inspection. But the odds of that happening are very rare, right?
Right.
And the communication around that so that they know what to expect is huge,
Right.
right? And the same with the buyer, right? What does that look like when they get that 50-point page that says everything that potentially is,
Right.
Wear and tear on the home, but the really important issues, there's really only 3, and then how do we remedy them, especially in a very tight market where it's so competitive and
Right.
a lot of people are afraid to ask for anything, right? So what does that look like?
Right.
So,
Well, you have to protect that buyer as well. On
Absolutely.
important issues. If it's a wall plate, it's immaterial.
Yep.
But the main issues you got to help them
you
through
got to
that.
help them, right?
Yeah. One of the things I share with my clients is, hey, I'm like a pilot, and we're going to get on our flight. We're going to Hawaii, and we may hit some turbulence along the way.
Oh, we're going to Hawaii.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to Hawaii. Yeah. And so we may hit some turbulence along the way, but don't worry, we're still going to get to our final destination. We may have to put the seatbelt sign on. We may have to buckle in for a little bit. We may have to make some tough decisions, but we're going to help you get to Hawaii ultimately, and that's the
I love
ultimate
that.
goal. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm stealing that one too. We're on a roll.
I stole it. So. But I've already gave credit 3 times, so I'm good on that.
Awesome.
Buying. So we talked a little bit about listing strategies. What about buying strategies? When you're working with a buyer, and
Sure.
how are you helping a buyer, win in this market? With so few inventory, multiple offers are likely on every house.
Yeah.
And how to make their offer so it gets considered, and ultimately they ultimately win. I mean, basically, it's basically win the bid these days.
Yeah.
You got to win the offer.
Absolutely. So there's a process that we go through them, again, setting the expectations. And one of the very first ones, actually, is to have them working with a very well experienced lender, right?
Right.
Because that lender that understands their capabilities and what we're able to do in that offer process from a financial point can really help us,
Right.
right? But really zoning in on what they really want and what they're willing to do for it,
Yeah.
right? We're just exposed at our level we just see everything that is happening out there. And there's all these things. There's about 22 things that you could do, and I'm not going to list them all, but there's about 22 things that you can do to help a buyer succeed in that offer process. But the key here is that I think people get kind of caught up in the noise. But we have an opportunity, even though there's about 1 month's supply of inventory out there in DuPage County, almost the same in Kane and Will. We get caught up in the noise that there are no houses and that there's no opportunities, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
You just truly have to be with somebody that's experienced to, one, get into a relationship with the listing agent, understand what's important to that seller, and then begin to craft that offer so that it's giving and meeting their needs.
Right. Right.
And when we actually won an offer last night for that reason only, with literally 3% down in a multiple offer situation.
Yeah.
And most people would just say, I'm not even going to bother because I'm 3% down. Well, that's not,
Right.
no limiting beliefs.
Right.
We can make this happen. We can work on the other factors that are important to that seller, and we can make that happen. And so it is, again, it comes right back to the relationship, the needs analysis, and then plugging in all of the tactics that are going to, on paper, lift them up. But also, the probably the most critical piece is somebody like yourself, right? And that the person on the other side knows that the financial piece is going to get them to the closing table.
Right.
And then the experience to understand what they should and shouldn't offer. And I also think that when it comes to the appraisal piece, right, we can talk about that, but understanding what's happening in the market, right? It's a constant bell curve, right? It just keeps going up. The amount of appreciation in the past 3 years in the counties that we serve is, double digits.
Oh, exactly.
And from the 70s on, you're 3 to 4% per year, but the reality is it's not going away.
Yeah.
I mean, how long has this been going on? It's been going on for 3 years or plus, right? That we've had
Exactly.
multiple offer
Well, I don't
situations.
see any solution to the inventory problem in the next 3 to 5 years. We have more and more millennials entering the home purchasing. They're the largest tranche of new home buyers coming in, and they're forming home ownership or home families.
Yeah.
And they're going to be buying houses, and there's just a lot of inventory out there. I mean, there's some new construction, but it's not gangbusters. And so it's just not going to go away. I mean, I think houses are going to continue to appreciate. And I think one of the mistakes buyers make today is they want to wait for rates to drop. Well, I think when rates do drop, that is just going to compound the problem with the lack of inventory and drive housing prices even higher. So we're advising our clients, hey, buy it today. The rate may be a little bit high, but we always can refinance, and you're much better off refinancing to a lower rate and a lower purchase price than trying to chase that equity you lost because the house went up, 4, 5, 7% in value in the next 18 months.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And that's hard sometimes for people to understand. I find first-time home buyers, they don't really know any difference when it comes to interest rates. They never had that 2.9%.
Yeah.
But that repeat client, the one that sold their home 3, 4, and 5 times, again, also experiencing, I had a loan for 7% in my lifetime. I've had a loan for 13% in my lifetime, right? So this is not new.
Right.
Yet, I sure do like my 2.9% loan, right? So we all want that, but the odds of it coming back are rare. So we have to look at current conditions and coach our people just to understanding. And the data and the information is there. You can see the trends. You know what's happening. And the odds are that they're probably going to come back down, but just probably not. And I guess this is your wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
probably not to 2.9%.
No, I don't think so. Well, I just had a conversation this last week is first-time home buyers and, the rates in the high sixes. And then I get so they want to do a conference call. So it's him, his wife, and her father who's on the phone. And he goes, I've got a rate at 3.25, and I said, well, you refinance. And that was the gift of COVID. COVID gave us low interest rates.
Yeah.
And I says, and I don't think that's coming around soon.
Yeah.
And that rate doesn't exist. My time machine is broken. I can't go back and get you that 3.25. I said, if they'd have bought that, we could have gotten it. I said, but the reality is these are what the rates are today. We're explaining the market to them and getting more comfortable with the market. And you're right. The first-time home buyers, they were fine with it, but it was her father was objectionable to the rate, because of where he's at. And so, we hugged it all out and made it work, and it's working through that. So it's interesting. The other thing we talk about with buyers is removing contingencies. One of the things we try to,
I love this about what you guys have the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do our Get Committed program. We get them fully underwritten, fully approved. Through an underwriter, we have everything in the file, tax returns, tax transcripts, verification of employment, verification of cash, everything in the file. We close as fast as 10 days, subject to appraisal and title. And we can actually remove the mortgage contingency. We'd help them with that and coach them on that.
So, and what I think maybe your listeners, the high-level understanding of what that means is that you're almost similar. You're not quite the same, but you're almost similar to a cash buyer at that point.
Right.
I mean, you still have some other pieces they have to navigate through, but it's a huge thing. But also going back to the relationship, right? If the person on the other end doesn't understand that,
right.
It's about educating them and making sure that they understand. And you're calling that listing agent, and
right.
it's all about communication and winning. And you can win, and you can be the one to succeed inside this arena. I mean, you're still doing a lot of loans here, right?
Yep.
And we're still selling a lot of houses and putting buyers into homes. So it can happen. And I think that that's the story, is that people need to not look at this as though it's not a possibility. It is.
Right.
Homeownership is like the biggest wealth builder you could have in your life.
Exactly.
I've leveraged it my whole life, and it has brought me enormous opportunity. And so any person that we can get into home ownership and have them win, it's huge.
Right.
It's huge.
So, it's not, one of the things, too, is, it's important to have a team, the right team helping you, whether you're listing a house or you're buying a house, is to have the right team going out there and fight. People ask me all the time, well, what do you do for a living? I say, well, every morning I wake up, I put my armor on, I grab my shield and my sword, and I'm going out there because I'm fighting somebody. I could be fighting an underwriter, I could be fighting an appraiser, I could be calling that listing agent, fighting for my client to get their offer considered. Fighting somebody,
Right.
and the world we live in real estate is controlled chaos because we're dependent upon so many other third parties to help this transaction close. And that's then we have that closing celebration at the title company because it all happened.
It all happened. Yeah.
And it's that team of everybody that made it happen. It's that real estate agent on both sides. It's the lender. It's the home inspector. It's the attorney. It's that team that made that happen, and it's so valuable in this market.
Those partnerships are critical, and when, unfortunately, I have to work with, people that maybe are outside of my team, they're coming onto the field and filling in, right? It really shows when you're working with a high level what the difference can be. But everybody grows, everybody learns.
Sure.
But we definitely have a great team to help people through the process.
Well, it's good. So much success in so many years, obviously, that it works for you. So we talked about client expectations, we talked about buying and selling. So what are your thoughts on the market right now? What are some insights that you want to share? Is a good time to sell, a good time to buy?
So it's my personal opinion. And I'm going to take this from Gary Keller himself, but there's never a bad time to buy real estate. And that may sound like a cliche, but, I have been going to North Carolina on vacation for the past 10 years, and actually it's 15. And we go to the same place the owners own it. Like, it's not an Airbnb. They just always let us rent it. And we loved it, right? And when we first went there, we'd look in the building, and it's $250,000. And a couple years later, it's $350,000. Then a couple years later, it's 400,000. We're like, maybe we should buy one of these, right? And then I called him this year, and I said, Tim, hey, I'd like to come down with the family. He's like, oh, Kimberly. He goes, guess what? I'm like, what? He goes, I sold it.
Oh.
Like, you sold it. I'm like, oh my gosh, all my memories have left with. I'm like, I go, are the people that you sold it to selling or willing to rent it out? He's like, I don't think that they are. And I said, how much did you get, Tim? He goes, 1.5 million.
Ugh.
Right. So you think as you go through life that, the prices are here and they can't go higher.
Yeah.
But they continue to go up. So land, we can't get it back.
Right.
Fuel and food, right? Energy
Right.
and food, right? They're just always going to be in demand.
Yeah.
So there is no bad time to buy real estate. You're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have your channels where things happen. There's uncertainty, life, the world takes
Sure.
over, and there's a little dip. But at the end of the day, it always trends up.
Right.
And that's data, right? So that's what I would say to people, that even in this market where you think, oh my gosh, is this the right time to buy? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
If you're able to, yeah, you can always refinance.
Right.
You can always get a lower interest rate if they drop. But certainly, to have that opportunity to hold on to that wealth and to have that appreciation, to have that tax write-off, to have everything that comes along with home ownership, it's fabulous. I think when we work on numbers and we're sitting with our sellers and also communicating with our buyers, is that for them to understand that the difference of now versus maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And what that means to them. And when you're sitting with a seller and you're telling them there's about a month's worth of inventory, what that means is that if no new homes came on the market in 1 month, there would be no homes left to buy.
Right.
And the average is about 4 to 5 months as a balanced market.
Right.
So we have shifted so far over into the seller's realm that they just have this incredible opportunity for double-digit appreciation.
Sure.
The buyer, right, on the other side, is looking to get into a home 2 years ago, right? And they're like, oh, it's too expensive, it's too expensive, it's too expensive. Well, what's happened in 2 years? It still trends up.
Right.
And so they lost that equity that they would have had.
Can't get it back.
Can't get it back.
Yeah.
And that's the beach story, right? You can't go back in time
Right.
and get it back. So when I talk about what's going in the market, we have daily numbers that we look at and markets specific to the neighborhoods that the people either want to be in or want to sell out of. So we're able to educate them then. But when you look at it holistically and you look at what's trending in all the counties in the Chicago suburbs, they're all pretty much the same. Inventory is low, and the demand is high. And while interest rates are where they're at, the moment they dip, that demand for that product comes back in, and
Right.
it rushes back in.
Yeah, people that are on the fences are going to jump back into the game.
They're jump back
Right.
in, and that just causes those multiple offers to go up,
Right.
right? Because now you're offering more, you're offering more, you're offering more. And so, it's really important that they're having great discussions with people like yourself and that they're learning what their possibilities are for now.
Right.
Because the future, we already know that it's trending in an upward direction. But the interest rates can always drop. You can always refinance. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like that saying is, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago, was it the second best time? Today.
Today.
Buy
Yeah.
a house 10 years ago, or you can buy it today.
Yeah, you
So
can't
make
focus on the
decision
past.
today. Right, you can't
Past
go
doesn't
back.
equal the future. Just
Right.
move forward.
One of the things that I think people get limited with, or is they're fearful of, is what happened when we had the mortgage meltdown. And I get that conversations every now and then with clients, is they're fearful of making the wrong decision, so they make no decision, which they retreat to the sidelines. But I talked to them about that. Is the reason we had the mortgage meltdown before, the fundamentals that caused that aren't existent today. We don't have those exotic mortgage programs that they had back then. Plus, back then, inventory was not an issue. There was abundance
Plenty
of
of it.
inventory.
Yeah.
Today we have an inventory problem, and that is and we don't have those exotic loan programs that cause the collapse. So that's likely not
And
going
they
to happen.
put protections in place, the Frank Dodd, all of that has been, really kind of worked through. But there's always going to be new challenges.
Sure.
Always.
Right.
There's things that come up in real estate all the time.
Yeah.
In the lending industry, you guys went through something about 5 or 7 years ago yourselves. So, I think that it's just a matter of, do you want a home? Do
Yeah.
you want an investment? Do you want to buy a piece of real estate every 1 to 2 years, so when it's time for your child to go off to college, you're selling? Right? And, what does that look like for you? Are you with somebody that can walk you through what a 1031 looks like, setting them up in LLCs?
Right.
Or are you just looking to have your dog and your kids run around in the backyard with a white picket fence and have them going to school and, taking them to the bus stop? Or are you looking for a condo, where you don't have to go up any stairs and you just learn to close the door and head to the beach, and get on a plane and fly? Everyone has a different need, but at the end of the day, pricing, your question was what's happening in the market. What's happening in the market will be today, will be different than tomorrow. But it trends around the same level.
Right.
And we know that prices just continue to go up. So my advice to consumers is to just take advantage of what they want.
Yeah,
What
figure
do
out what
they
they want.
want?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you're right. You have to live someplace, whether
Yeah.
you rent or you're going to buy. So if you're renting, you're paying the landlord's mortgage.
You are.
And there's not going to be a better opportunity down the road a piece. You got to maybe those little dips and valleys, small micro advantages at times. But trying to time that market is extremely difficult. And so you buy the house, and you can always refinance. And if the payments become a problem, or if something happens, you can always cash out.
Yep.
When we had the mortgage meltdown, the problem is we had houses were going down in value.
Yeah.
And we're not having that today. They're going to
Yeah.
continue to go up, so you just cash out. I have a client right now who, because of some circumstances, is having a hard time making the mortgage payment. And I said, well, okay, the bad news is you can't make that mortgage payment anymore
Yep.
because of circumstances. But the good news is, over the last 4 years, you've got $110,000 of equity.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
When we've never had that happen before.
Right.
Right? Maybe you can think of a time. I can't think of a time when somebody could buy a home 3 years ago and literally have 50, 60, 70,000 of equity.
Yeah. So you have
It's
walkaway equity,
mind-blowing.
and you're okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt your credit. Everything's going to be fine. And you could just go rent something cheaper, and then you'll rise another day,
Yeah.
and you can maybe buy another house then.
And educating them so they don't just let it go on the wayside, right?
Right.
Face that fear head on. Sell it. It's scary,
Yeah.
right? Where am I going to go?
It's
What
tough
am I gonna
conversations.
do?
Yeah, people don't want to have those. Yeah.
Tough conversations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I have them all the time with clients on different things. Yeah. I always tell people that the hardest part of my job is telling you things you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with you, so we can make things happen for you, be right for you. So down the road a piece, everything's good.
Yeah. Well, I think that clarity and transparency, go a long way, especially when you're dealing with investments that are at this high of a level, right?
Right,
We
right.
need that. We need that from all the professionals out there. So.
Yeah, the other thing is, you talk about investments. There's a lot of investors in the market right now.
There's a lot of them.
And
You would think the opposite, right?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I tell first-time homebuyers. I says, take a tip from the investors. They're buying homes left, right, and sideways.
Yes, they are.
They can't get enough of them. And so if the market was bad, that would be the canary in the coal mine if they weren't
Yep.
buying houses.
Absolutely.
So they're buying them. So you should, they know something. They're seasoned investors. That's how they've accumulated wealth. Let's take advantage of that as well. And let's, get in front of them. And you can beat out investors, too, because, again, they're maybe making cash offers. Usually they're offers because they think they're sexy because they're paying cash. They're usually offering less. So you can compete against cash offers. Don't think you can't.
True.
We talked about the Get Committed program. I have buyers that have to sell a home to buy a home, but we have another program to navigate around that as well.
Yeah,
So-
that's a big fear of people as well. And sometimes they don't even know until we sit down with them that they actually don't need to sell to buy.
Right.
They think they do.
Right.
And which is an interesting caveat. And the blessing of this market is that there's really very little fear around the fact that they could, if they can, they
Yeah.
go and they buy, but then their home is sold in a very short period of time.
Right.
And for probably the most money that they would have ever gotten. So it's really just about educating the people and making sure that, you know, they're sharing as much about the process that they can share with us to help them get the most money, and the same on the buy side.
Right.
Fear can really take down.
It paralyzes people. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It
It's
does.
an inaction, which is a decision. You know, no decision is a decision not to do anything. I had a client just the other day. He has a very low interest rate on his first mortgage, and he says, "Well, I'm going to sell because I need that equity to buy a new house." And we strategized a bit. We said, "Listen, why don't you just rent out your house and take advantage of that low interest rate, and then only put 5% down in your purchase because you have the money to do that, and then now you've got rental income coming in, and now you have that low mortgage rate, and you're going to take advantage of that."
Yep.
And then, you know, the mortgage insurance, you know, he said, "Well, I have to pay mortgage insurance." I said, "You got great credit, and the mortgage insurance on this $500,000 house is $79 a month, $79 a
And
month."
that's the piece. Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
They think, oh my God, I gotta pay. They still say PMI, right? It's
Right,
like,
right.
It's like, no, if you have good credit, that spread is nominal.
It is, yeah.
It's nominal.
You know, then if you ever decide to sell, we get rid of the PMI right away. Just
Or
make
you
it
can buy
principal.
out of the PMI.
You can as well. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
strategies
A lot of
to
strategies.
do that. And you know, so he's considering that right now because we got a market analysis from the realtor on what the rent would be, and he's going to make a lot of money per month on the rent. You know, he wants to move to Florida, and he's a little bit worried about how he's going to manage the property here. And so we're handling those concerns of that. But it's just another strategy. You know, whether he takes advantage of it or not, it's just opening those ideas. Is, you know, I always tell people my job is to curate great options for you to consider, educate you on those options, and then help advise you which is the best one for you and your family.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so-
Agreed, yeah.
well, great. Is there anything else that maybe you want to share before we wrap? You got a funny story or something?
Well, you know, I just, you know, probably one of the things I think I mentioned just really lightly, but it's about the relationships, you know, having clients for life. I mean, our business just come from our past clients who refer us.
Yeah.
And they continue to do it because they see the value and the experience that we bring, the problem solving.
Yeah.
And we're there for them, right?
Right.
I think that is a story worth telling. And there's a lot of great professionals out there that can do the same. And just being with a professional,
Right.
I think, is key. I think that a lot of people that choose not to do that leave a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
And or working with a lender that can't provide the best strategy, right,
Right.
for them. So the same thing, but the relationships, they're the key, Dennis. It's about communities. It's about giving back. It's about working with people and helping them. Finding the home in the neighborhood that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, getting your feet on the ground, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
going out and knocking on doors. There are ways. But it really starts with understanding your client at a level that we can get them to where they need to be.
It's all about relationships. It's not about a transaction.
It's
you know?
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people want to treat it like a transaction, and they leave so much money on the table, and they miss out so many opportunities because of that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's important. You know,
Yeah.
So, well, that's good. So that kind of great for sharing with all your great information with
thank
us. We appreciate it so
you.
much. And so I want to invite you now to the lightning round.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to ask a couple
Okay.
questions here.
Oh,
There's no right or
already.
wrong answer. Just whatever comes to your mind, let me know. So are you iPhone or Android?
Okay, so I'm an iPhone. Don't even know what an Android is.
I
Makes
am
no
as
sense
well.
to
You
me.
know, I always had an iPhone. I don't, but are you Mac or PC?
I'm a Mac. I don't even know how to print on a regular computer
See,
either.
I'm a PC.
Yeah?
You know, so I don't know how. I don't have a Mac.
Interesting.
You know, my son always wants me to go to Android. I said, I have an app on my iPhone. It's my mortgage calculator. It's not available on the Android, so that's never happening. You know?
Well, that's a good reason.
Exactly. I don't know what I would do without it. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm a PC guy. I grew up with PCs, and
Yeah,
I
I
just
made
can't
the
make that
transition a while back.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
Well, congrats
Thanks.
to that. You know, so
Yeah.
you got to switch. So what's your favorite ice cream? Favorite of ice cream?
So I'm a butter pecan girl.
Yeah, my mother is too. She loves butter pecan. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and she's 96. So
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite food?
So I have a culinary background, and I
Oh.
love to cook and create, and I'm known for that. So I hope that I get to cook your food for you one day, right? So it's my passion. So I don't necessarily have a favorite food because I love everything, but I have a favorite food of the week, something that I've created. And today, and I think I made this for my friends last week, it's a regatta dip. And I make from fresh whole regatta
Wow.
with honey and cayenne pepper
Wow.
and salt. And you can take those ingredients, you can put it in some regatta, and I'm telling you right now, it's gonna knock your socks off.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do I get on the list?
You're on the list. You can come.
So, what about a favorite book?
So I have a book that I'm reading all year, and it's called I Choose Joy. And it's by Danelle Delgado. She's a pretty fabulous woman. She used to be with KW years ago, and she now is just a thriving entrepreneur. And she has this journal/book called I Choose Joy that you write in every single day.
Yeah.
And I had the amazing opportunity to meet her and to get exposed to her theory on how to have a better life. And it's just the most beautiful book.
Yeah.
If you have an opportunity she has a podcast, she has social media platform that's
Yeah.
pretty high level. I encourage everybody to look it up.
I do a gratitude journal every day.
Yeah, it's
as
just beautiful. It's a little bit more than that, yet for all your listeners out there, that's the fundamental.
This is kind of off topic, but I'll just share it with you. Is one year I saw somebody, I read somebody or heard a podcast on this, and I decided to do it. And I got a moleskin book, and I got 3 of them. And one was for both of my kids, and one was for my wife. And every day for 30 days prior to Christmas, I wrote down something I was grateful for them about.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Maybe a story or something like that. 10 days in, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, this was a lot of work, coming up with a new one every day. But I did that, and so I did that maybe like 10 years ago. And just recently, my oldest said, hey, I was just reading the book. I came across it, and thank you so much for that.
Oh my God, it's such a blessing, right?
Oh, it paid off, and I was like, oh, yeah, winner on that one. So
yeah.
it was interesting.
That is really quite lovely.
But
it really is. That's a gift they'll have for the rest of their lives. That's just beautiful.
That's what I figured. When I'm dead guards, maybe somebody will read it. They don't have to go to Facebook to figure it out.
Yeah.
So what's you have a favorite podcast?
I listen to a lot of them, but I have to say that the Millionaire Real Estate, Gary Keller, it's the fundamental of what I teach, and so it's a constant for me. So I just love listening to him and having the opportunity to speak with him, and he's an amazing man.
So, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I listened to that as well. We have the little group with Keller Williams Thrive where we do the podcast recap on
Vicky does
Tuesdays.
that, yeah.
We're with Vicky on
Absolutely.
that. So what speed do you watch your listening
1.7.
1.7, that's
yeah,
awesome.
your brain will catch up with it.
Yeah.
I can't listen at everything at a normal speed now. I've lost the ability to do that. So, but yeah. So.
Do you ever go back and re-listen to a podcast?
I do. I listen to Housing Wire, right? And there might be some data information in there. I listen to that every day that I might go back. I need to capture exactly what they said. But I like Ed Mylett. There's just so many. Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Brene Brown. I mean, there's just so many great people
I just started
out there.
getting into Mel Robbins,
Yeah, she's fabulous. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So what about a favorite movie? Let's finish with that.
So this might age me a little bit, but my all-time favorite movie, and it's popcorn and Coco, no matter what, but it's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart.
That's a classic.
I trying to get my daughter, who is just went off to college last year, to have that same, do it with me. It's an oldie, but it just warms my heart.
Yeah,
it just really brings you back down to earth on what's important is family,
right?
Your faith, and just the love of people,
right?
And it's pretty magical.
Well, hey, well, great. Well, thank you for sharing with us today, we appreciate you so much. And then,
I appreciate being here.
great, great.
This was really quite an honor.
Well,
Right?
thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll catch you all next time.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate you.